Hello, thank you for joining us to talk about it. If you joined us last week, thank you again for joining us again. Um, this week we'll be talking about a lot of Black artists because it is Black History Month, and so for the entire month we'll be highlighting a lot of different Black artists. So I'm Dominique.
I'm Dawn.
All right, so let's get started. So the first artist that we're going to be highlighting today is Ava DuVernay. Ava DuVernay is a writer, producer, director, filmmaker, and she actually did not get her start by going to film school. She actually started off by going into journalism, and so she went to school for journalism, and she studied English and African American studies, and she didn't even pick up a camera until she was 32 years old. And so I thought it was such a profound story to tell, because she talks about how it's never too late to start a dream. It's never too late to do something or to change a path in your life. And I just thought that was so profound to share. One of my favorite documentaries by Ava DuVernay is 13th, which I believe is still on Netflix. But it's a documentary about mass incarceration in the United States. And it talks about how African Americans have been enslaved since slavery to now through the form of mass incarceration. And so that's one of my favorite documentaries, but she also has so many other phenomenal movies. She was really talked about a lot, like last year when They See Us came out, which was a really, 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 really great TV show as well. And so, yeah, that's Ava DuVernay.
I think my favorite movie by her was A Wrinkle in Time with Oprah. Love that movie, rewatch it so many times. And to just see that she got all that Black power in that movie, I really love that.
That's classic. So next, I want to shine a light on Oprah, just as Dawn mentioned. So this Oprah Winfrey, everyone knows her. She's the GOAT, literally. Oprah Winfrey is a media mogul who had one of the most popular TV shows in U.S. history. She used her platform to do everything from launching her own production company, Harpo, her name spelled backwards, if you didn't know, and starting a school for girls in Africa. Oprah Winfrey is the first Black woman billionaire. She's the first Black woman billionaire with deep attention paid to strategic financial partnerships and enterprises. So her accomplishments is like literally limitless. She has her own network, Oprah Winfrey Network. In 1996, she also launched Oprah's Book Club, which selected a literacy title for viewers to read and discuss each and every month. The club features works from a wide range of authors, including Pearl S. Buck, William Faulkner, Barbara Kingsolver, and more. In 1998, Oprah Winfrey invested in the Oxygen Network, a cable channel geared towards women. And in 2000, Winfrey debuted the Oprah magazine, which is absolutely incredible. And on January 1st, 2011, Oprah Winfrey launched her own network, Oprah Winfrey Network, a cable TV platform that featured reality TV shows, dramas, and classic series. So I just want to highlight Oprah Winfrey for all of her accomplishments. She definitely set the standard for us Black women. I'm just saying.
Yes, I want to be like Oprah one day. Or at least Oprah money. So I guess we're just gonna go while we're talking about, Oprah, we're gonna get into, the topics on Black content creators, because Oprah is a Black woman who is in, the eye of everybody. So can you guys understand what they endure? So while we're talking about content creators, I do want to go ahead and talk about Chloe. So Chloe was seen on Instagram Live crying the other day because she was getting so much backlash from people, because they view her as a sex icon, or they view her as, when you see Chloe Bailey, you see those twins, you see them together. But now that they're separate, they're developing their own identities. And a lot of people don't like to see that because she's, a Black woman flourishing. One of the things that I seen went viral for her was her, it was a challenge she did, the silhouette challenge. No, it was the bust it challenge. The bust it challenge. And a lot of people did not know Chloe could bust it like that, okay? But she is a phenomenal person, but she was crying on live. So I don't know if you guys saw that, but how do you guys feel about that?
Well, me personally, it made me sad because I love Chloe and Holly, and everyone who, kept up with them over the years. We know that they are brilliant, innocent, girls that became women, in front of the public eye. So it's just like for people to, make her cry and for her to actually express, her feelings. It just made me sad. And she also stated how, she had a lot of insecurities about her body, like she mentioned the tiger stripes. So, she was very self-conscious. So for her to wear those revealing outfits, it was, to boost, to allow her to be more comfortable in her created skin. So, it didn't make me feel good because Chloe and Holly has done so much for, Black girls in the community. So we should already know what type of girls they are, so for her to receive that type of backlash, I didn't like it.
Yeah. So unproblematic. They're unproblematic AF, and they just started a problem for no reason.
And also, I don't know if you saw this, but a lot of people, they were like, "Oh, Chloe should go solo. Chloe should go solo."
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Just because she's starting to express her individuality, like don't try to compare, her to her sister. Like it's just, it was a lot.
Yeah, I think that it's a problematic system that's like willing to like sell different narratives to Black girls, and so it's hard for content creators, especially like Chloe and people who are in the spotlight, to kind of identify themselves and express their identity, because it's so confusing already, because the system is just like, oh, you're supposed to act like this, but if you act too much like this, you're this. If you act too much, and if you don't act like this, you're this. And it's so hard. It's such a fine line.
Yeah.
But I have a question. Because I always look at the situations from like different views. But okay, why do we feel like we have to be revealing to be accepted?
Right.
Like that's an issue that we have, not only Black women, but women, period. And we see that a lot. So it's like, I don't know. I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question to ask, I guess, because it's become a normal. Me personally, I do reveal a lot, but I mostly don't do it for attention, because when I'm revealing, I don't post it online. I do it as my own, just so I can feel sexy. I feel good knowing that my body looks like this. I like the way my body looks like, when it's like that. So I think for some women, I'm not going to say for all, because a lot of people do it for attention. Like Chloe, like it's a confidence booster. Like I did this for my own confidence, because I did not feel good about myself at one point. And so to have the confidence to post that stuff online, that's a whole different story. So me personally, I do it because I feel good about myself. Like it makes me look good. It makes me feel good. Like, I like how I look right now, and I'm going to post it.
So you're saying you see it more so as in a confidence booster rather than you being revealing to be accepted.
Yes.
Okay. I can understand that. Okay, so to speak from my personal experiences, I have, wore outfits that, people wouldn't call us acceptable. Well, family members, church people, but it's fashion as well. We can't ignore fashion, but it's like in today's society, fashion has really been pushing the limit when it comes to,
exposing yourself.
So it's like, my next question is when is it too revealing?
Mm.
When is your outfit too revealing? Like,
Okay, so I have like mixed feelings about this because you know how some people when you wear stuff they be like, oh, you need to save something for the imagination. You know what I think we should save for imagination? Anything that has like your butt cheeks hanging out, your cootie cat showing, or your nipples, or anything like that. I feel like okay, now you're doing too much, it's just a little too much, or something that has just like too much, like you showing more skin than actual clothing. Because you've seen those dresses that have like rips like everywhere. At this point, you might as well have walked out the house naked. So that's just how I feel about it.
right.
Mm-hmm. I think it's hard. I feel like for me, I definitely agree with that. I feel like there is a limit. There is a certain level, like when you're showing too much. But at the same time, I feel like everybody can define that standard for themselves, and it's not really. It's hard to say because one person's definition of too revealing may not be another person's definition of too revealing. I mean, personally, like I've had experiences where people felt like just me wearing a crop top was too revealing. And,
Mm.
I can understand that in certain, the way you feel. But I don't feel like, showing off the belly button to me is too revealing. Um, so I don't know, it's hard. I feel like it's a fine line. I feel like it's hard to like set in stone like this is wrong and this is right. But then I feel
Yeah.
like you have to because it's getting to a point where I feel like it's almost when there's no rules and regulations, then it's like you were saying, like you walk out the house wearing whatever, like you might as well just walk out the house naked. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's a
It
place and
depends.
time,
Right.
honestly.
True. That's true too.
It depends on the type of brand you're trying to develop. Like if you are in the music industry like Chloe, she can do different things because that's her brand. But like if you're in like the inspirational industry or anything else where it's not really that acceptable, the audience you want to attract, you have to be conscious of your presentation because
Mm.
it's just limits. So it just depends on what industry you're in when it comes
Mhm.
to fashion being too revealing, if you ask me personally.
Most
See,
definitely. Because not too long ago, I went to church. I was rushing to get ready, but I didn't pay attention. I had just got this new skirt. And when I put the skirt on, the slit wasn't that high to me. But I just walked out the house with it. I was like, oh, yeah, this is cute. I'm going to walk out the house with it. But I got to church and everything was fine until I tried to sit down. When I tell you that slit rose, like it rose, it was a problem. It was a problem because, I'm very active in my church. I'm in front of the camera all the time. A lot of people depend on me. So if I'm up there and I got this split rising up my thigh,
Right.
it's a problem. It created a problem. So I do feel like, it's a time and a place for it. So we have a comment. Are the majority of these fashions designed by men? Christian Dior, Versace. Do performers have any say in the designs? I think majority of them are designed by men. If I'm being honest.
yeah.
Um, do performers have a say? I really don't know. I don't think they do because every performer has a stylist. And once you have that brand, you have to keep going with that brand. You have to be consistent in it. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
think
Hmm. I do think beauty standards in a way are shaped by men as well, like at least in the past in society. And that's another reason why it's so hard for women to kind of identify themselves and their sexuality.
mm-hmm.
Hmm.
yes.
But I was gonna comment on that what you were saying. Another thing is when I was growing up, I grew up around like in a predominantly white community. So a lot of the girls that I was around wasn't shaped like me, and so they would wear certain things, and I would want to wear them, and then it would be a problem when I would wear them. And I felt like
Mm-hmm.
why is it a problem when I wear it? But I realized because my body if I'm wearing short shorts like on my body, my cheeks might be hanging out, but on their body it might not be as drastic, like as revealing. So that's another thing that's like, what do you
Right.
guys think about that? Like, do you think that it shouldn't matter? Like, you should be able to wear whatever, or do you think you should take into account your
That opened up a can of worms because we have a comment. Definitely a time um, in place. Church, concerts, the beach, bars, etc. Yes, definitely. You know, you have to wear specific outfits for specific outings. But
Mhm.
to address your question, Dom, you know, that's okay. Me with being like, you know, a thick female, you know, I really have to be cautious because, say, for instance, like if you are more heavy chested, you can't, you know, just wear certain tops, you know, like halter tops or, you know, tops where you really don't necessarily wear bras in, or you just can't wear that. Like, how can I help me out, Don? Because I'm not really like the fashion expert, but it's like when you're more, you
You
know,
know, bustier. You busty up here, so your shirts tend to. Not every shirt is gonna fit, of course. So I know some people gonna look at that like, oh my gosh, she's showing like a lot of chest. When you really just living your life. You didn't mean to. The shirt was made the way that yeah, like the shirt was made the way that it was made. So
or if you're at the beach, you know, like, you know, a lot of
ooh,
white
swimsuits.
women, you know, when they wear their bikini cuts, you know, it's cool, it's
Yes.
acceptable. But you know, let a black woman wear a bikini cut and all you see is booty everywhere, then you
Yes.
know, it's gonna
It
catch
was
a
a
lot of
while before my
attention.
mama let me wear a two piece. Like I always had to wear a one piece.
So I don't think it's fair because we can't help our body shapes, our body types. And a
Mhm.
lot of different women from other ethnic groups are paying thousands and thousands of dollars to have the bodies that we have. So we should be able to wear what we want to wear. Just be cautious of, you know, the feedback and the attention you're going to
Hmm.
get. So,
Right. That I think that's the key right there is you just have to be accepting with yourself and you're comfortable with yourself and be ready to receive. Like if you're gonna receive feedback, just know like, you know, I'm comfortable with what I'm wearing.
Hmm.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So
Um,
um maintaining a balance, you know, like just how we talked about having a balance with what we wear as in fashion. How do y'all feel about having a work-life balance and just balancing them both?
I feel like it is so important to have a healthy work-life balance. I feel like I struggle with this often because I'm such a hard worker and I love to take on projects and do things, but I end up taking on more than is healthy, more than I can really handle, and then I'm then taking away time from me and taking away time for me to take care of me. And I feel like that's so important that you maintain that so that you have time for self care, you have time for rest, you have time to eat and actually enjoy your food, not eating while you're trying to do a million other things. I think that's important because I notice in my own life when I don't do those things, when I start working too much, that's when I start feeling too chaotic and I start feeling out of
Mm.
place, off balance, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
off, you know? Do you guys agree with that?
Definitely. And one thing I'm learning to do to like maintain a healthy work-life balance, you know, they say like keep your desk clear. So don't allow all of these, you know, tasks and responsibilities, priorities to just build up, you know, like as soon as you get something, handle it and move it out the way. So your desk can be clear, your mind can be clear, and you can have time to enjoy your hard work, you know, but it's like
Mhm.
constantly have things just piling up on your desk, it's just begins to get chaotic and you start, you know, thinking, is it really worth it? Like, what am I doing? Is there any progress being made? So for me, I just try to handle tasks as they come.
For me, to-do list helped me a lot. You get up in the morning, and I know sometimes if I don't make a to-do list, I'd be looking crazy. Be done forgot everything that I need to do that day. So I really need like a to-do list. So when I wake up in the morning, I have to write down everything that I need to get done today. Sometimes I have to write down everything I need to get done by the end of the week, or everything that I need to get done by the end of the month. So that's how I kind of like manage my time, just getting everything out the way while I can. And then you like make them for what from what can you do right now to what's the hardest to do. What's gonna have you like sit down and actually take an hour out of your day, take 2 hours out of your day, take, a few hours out of your day. However it works. I feel like, you sit down and you actually budget your time out. I feel like that's what helps me the
Mhm.
most.
So I
Right.
do the exact same thing. I agree. I agree. And I think that in doing those to-do lists, though, you do have to schedule sometimes. It's okay to schedule time for you to literally have a break and the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, have that time for yourself, because the most important thing I feel like when trying to have a stable environment, what someone told me is having stability within. And
Mm-hmm.
and in order to find that stability within, you have to make time for yourself. And a lot of times we just get up and, like Don was saying, I get up too and I make a list, but sometimes you just get up and you go straight into that list. You go straight into the work, the chaos of the day, and the day is gonna take you wherever the day take you. But if you wake up and you take a few moments to just be with yourself and your own emotions and within, I feel like that can really help you go into the day with more a sense of purpose, a sense of calm, a sense of peace.
Yes.
Because some, you know how it be when you wake up and you instantly got a lot to do. It just feels like there's
Mhm.
nothing. So I think finding that
Really
stuff
like that.
within is so important.
You
Mm-hmm.
you said a key word. You said purpose, and honestly, what I'm learning, if it's not purposeful, I don't want it to be on my to do list. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
it to be a part of my schedule. I only want to live on purpose for a purpose. And I feel like that's how you will be, stable when it comes to having so many different, jobs and responsibilities. Like, what is the purpose for this? What is the purpose
Mm-hmm.
for that? Like, if I don't have a passion for it, then it becomes, a burden. So
Yeah.
Yes.
with everything I try to do, I try to find a purpose in why I'm doing that so I can be
Mm-hmm.
motivated to continue on doing it, because I love to rest. I love to lounge around. You know,
Yes. Self
I
care.
yes, I love to vacate. It's been so long since I've been on a vacation, but it's more to life than work. So I really don't want to necessarily work, but I want to move on purpose for a purpose.
Mm,
I
yeah.
like that.
Hmm. What do you do though when life throws curveballs at you and you feel like you're off balance? Like, what do you do to kind of recenter yourself so that you don't completely go off the rails? Like, what are some tips that you guys do?
Whew. Oh God. Okay, I'll go first. Seriously, this is a sensitive topic for me because I've been trying to navigate through this. But I had to ask myself in 2020, um, how can I put this? I don't want to isolate myself,
Mm,
but I don't always want to be accessible either.
Mm,
mm,
that's good.
So it's like, to get through those curveballs, I feel like we should be visible, but we shouldn't always be accessible.
Mm,
Energy is heavy, and it's like you have to, at the end of the day, it all goes back to self-care and self-love. Like, if the energy isn't right, it's okay to, just go on somewhere and relax, like Jesus, for prime example. Just imagine how many people, was looking for him all the time, wanted him to perform miracles, heal the sick. He had to, relax and hide away a bit. But, you
mm.
know, I had to stop myself from isolating myself so much, because
mm-hmm.
that can turn into other things. So I don't
Mm,
know. That's how I kind of, navigate curveballs that's thrown at me. I want to be visible and I want to be, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but I do not want to be accessible, if that
mm,
makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. And like she said, rest. I feel like for me, how I navigate curveballs is I unplug. Like I literally unplug from anything and everybody. I get off of social media. Sometimes I may take a day or two from work. I literally have to unplug when
We'll
life
take those
goes.
off days in a minute.
Yeah, when life throws something at me and it has like it weighs on my mental health, I have to unplug. Like I can't be around anybody. I can't be around on social media because social media will have you even more depressed than what you already is. So I be having to get off of there. Sometimes I'll put my phone on do not disturb, and I just have to actually sit with myself for a few days until I'm ready to come back out of hibernation. I don't like I'm kind of a loner anyway, so I'm not really worried about like being, you know, somebody else coming to me. But when I'm actually ready to like come out and play, I'll come out and play.
I feel you. Comment about time management, and I want to talk about that because that's one thing like I had to learn when I was making my schedules every day. I had to learn how to schedule room for things to go wrong. So like what I realized was when I was overpacking my schedule and I didn't have time for wiggle room for things to go wrong, when things did go wrong, it was a domino effect. Not everything. My whole day is messed up. So I had
Mm.
to learn how to almost plan ahead for the disaster. And so if I'm scheduling out my day and I have too much on my schedule, that's how I know I have too much on my schedule because I don't have enough wiggle room for things to mess up, for me to get stuck in traffic, for me to for the car to break down, for the sky to fall. You know, I need to schedule
Right.
that, like seriously. And so I think maintaining your time is all about preparing for those moments. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and also, like Don was saying earlier about budgeting your time, like kind of understanding how much time it takes to do stuff. There's a lot of things we do that we don't realize we do that actually is really time consuming. Like if you are trying to get something done and you have your cell phone right there and you get notifications, you constantly keep checking, you're taking so much time out of getting that thing done. If you were to just put your phone somewhere else, you will have a much better time accomplishing that in that time frame that you set for yourself. Um, I don't know if you ladies have any other tips for that as well.
I would say limit distractions.
Mm,
The only thing I keep thinking of is me completing my grad work. You know, like when you are in school, you know, you really have to have those time management skills. You have to organize yourself. You have to take breaks in between because, you know, your mind gets foggy sometimes. But you really have to limit, you know, those distractions. Say, for instance, since, you know, we can't go to the library because of COVID, maybe you should just, you know, turn off your phone, shut yourself in the room, and just give yourself 4 hours to just focus, like specifically on those assignments you need to get done. Like
Mm-hmm.
allow it to have all of your attention. So, you know, for each task you have to devote all of your attention to that task. Everything else has to be second place unless it's a dying emergency. Like honestly, that's the only way that I'm going to be able to push through because I get distracted easy.
that's a good point to bring up though, because since we are in COVID, a lot of people have been struggling with trying to get stuff done while at home because it's totally different being in your home environment trying to work. And what I found helped me is finding a place like you were saying, like that's some my corner, my workspace, and I associate that with work. So when I go in that area, I can get things done. Because sometimes it can be hard to try to get things done in front of the TV or around the kids or with your cell phone or in the bedroom. You know, you have to kind of change your environment sometimes too.
Yeah, and I feel that. I know I don't really like working at home. I do it because I have to, but I don't really like it. I feel like I focus better when I'm out and about. So our library is still open. So when our library was closed, I felt like I was so chaotic. Like I felt like I could not get anything done. And it's not the fact that, you know, nothing's wrong with my home. I just feel like in my home, everywhere in my home is comfort to me. So
Right.
I'm not going to want to work as hard as I am if I'm somewhere else, because when I'm somewhere else I feel like if I'm at the library I feel like, oh, I'm gonna give myself 4 hours to get this done because the library closes at 8, so I need to get this done before that time. So I just feel like it's easier for me to go somewhere else and give myself a deadline than being at home whereas I'm in comfort and I feel like, oh, you know, I got all day to do this, I can be here all night, all that type of stuff. So that's just my opinion on that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm definitely going to have to see what I can do to go to SCAD's library because, you know, the library by Savannah Mall, Southwest Chatham County, they give you like a 2 hour limit.
Yeah,
So there's no point of going to the library if I can only be there for
for
two
two
hours.
hours. Yeah,
I did
makes
not.
sense.
Wow, I did not know they gave you a 2 hour limit. That's good.
Yeah,
Yes.
I live by Bull Street Library, and they're only open for, you can only come for an hour. That's
Wow.
literally it.
But is that because of COVID or was that prior to?
Yes,
It's
COVID.
because of COVID. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Yeah, but it's definitely like I wish. I didn't even know that our library was open now. That's good to know. But
Yeah, girl, I be on it. Like, I love the library. It's peaceful in there. I find me like a little corner to get in. I'll be like, look, I need to get this done, and I'm focused. I'm there.
yeah, having a workspace is so important for me because I'm the same way. I be too chaotic. I
And like, I like being at home. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like being here. It's
it's
just too
comforting.
comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just too comfortable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So I do want to go ahead and move into, while we're talking about time and budgeting time, how about we talk about like discernment in our lives? So, how do you know when it's your intuition speaking or your trauma speaking? I know I come from, I've had some trauma in my life, but sometimes I do things because I'm scared to do them rather than not really thinking like, is this my intuition talking or is this like my experience talking? How do you guys like feel about that?
Well, I feel like sometimes the trauma you go through can strengthen your intuition, because if you go through a traumatic situation, you will look at things differently and from every angle. So that definitely can strengthen, the way you go about things, in the future. But that's a great question. Is it your intuition or your trauma speaking? It depends on the situation. Give us a scenario. Give us a scenario.
Okay, I think a good scenario is, let's just say, you see this in movies like all the time. Boy meets girl, but girl has been through like abusive relationships, bad relationships, scared to like, even get into, anything else. But this boy is like doing everything that he can or whatever. But he's trying to reassure her, like, look, I'm not trying to hurt you or anything. But then, she ends up being happy in the end. Those type of situations. And it can be applied to like anything. Just, scared to take the next step more so rather than actually being scared because something's gonna happen. So how do you guys like discern between those two things? Discern being scared with actually like feeling like, I know we all have like gut feelings like, okay, something's wrong, but how do you actually use that discernment to your advantage?
Yeah, I think that is such a great question. I feel like it's so hard to know sometimes. Um, but that's where, when you're in that situation, like depending on the circumstance, let's say it is girl meets boy and she's been through a lot of trauma and she's afraid to love. She's afraid to be vulnerable and to trust this person because of everything she's been through. Knowing that, I feel like you have to go into it with the discernment of knowing that, okay, whatever decisions or choices, whatever feelings I'm feeling, I had to kind of, before I act on them, don't act on that emotion right away. That's when you take the time and ask yourself this question: is it my intuition or is it trauma speaking?
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of try to discern that by observing the situation, observing the person that you're with. What actions are they doing? Because a lot of times, it can be your trauma speaking because our anxiety can manifest itself into reality. We can think something's one way when it's not, but because we're so focused on that, that's all we see.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it's so important to be self-aware, I think, and to just
Mhm.
conscious of who you are and what you're feeling and not acting immediately on that and taking the time to question that. But it's hard. It's hard to know sometimes. I was
Yeah.
saying.
I feel like sometimes, before you react, definitely you should observe, but ask those questions
Hmm.
in a very soft, mild voice, because you can find out anything from a person just by listening to, the way they communicate and what they say. So, I feel like something to combat between whether it's your trauma or your intuition, ask those hard questions, like if something isn't sitting right with you, like something isn't sitting right with your intuition, maybe you should ask the question, so to discern from their answer whether your intuition is right or whether it's
Mm-hmm.
trauma.
Okay,
Mhm.
so I have another question. So going back on what Dom said, she said sometimes your anxiety can manifest.
Mhm.
How do you know it's your anxiety or your intuition?
Ooh, that's a good question too. Um, I would say also like observe your own behavior. So, say for instance, like I'm trying to think of a scenario. Like, okay, so say it's the girl boy scenario again, and you think that every time he's out and he's not texting you, that he's doing something, like he's doing
Mm-hmm.
something wrong, like, and so you can try to discern if it's your anxiety speaking or if it's your intuition. So if you just get this feeling out of nowhere, like say like you're happy, like and like just out of nowhere, like you're just feeling like something's off, that might be your intuition. But if
Girl,
you
it is so real. Oh my goodness. That is so, so, so real.
but if you just always be kind of like stressing when he goes out with his friends, then it might just be anxiety, like, oh, he's with another girl, he's talking to another girl, he's not texting me back. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? But if it's like not a all, it's more like you don't even know why. That's your intuition usually because you don't even know why you're feeling it, but you are. Like that
That's a
makes
good answer. That was a good answer.
And that goes to show, like, sometimes before, since we're using the girl meets boy scenario, before we can get into like a serious relationship, we really have to know ourselves and like
Mm-hmm.
our triggers, um,
mm,
the way that we communicate with, different scenarios, and people communication is key. So we really have to learn ourselves so we can learn how to maneuver through, those situations, because not everyone is out here to get you, but at the same time, those past experiences, it keeps you aware of those
yeah.
rules that are out there. So I feel like the more you learn yourself and the more in tune you are with your own intuition, you will
Mm-hmm.
be able to differentiate, whether it's your anxiety or if it's just that gut feeling.
And another thing about like that anxiety is I've noticed it can be passed down generationally. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can feel pain and trauma like associated with something that you may not have directly experienced, but generationally it has been experienced, maybe through a parent or through someone that you knew. You saw them go through so much pain in that situation that now you carry that too. And so when you are identifying your traumas, you have to think past just yourself too. You have to really like, why am I
Mhm.
so anxious about this?
Right.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
feel
that's
that.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll
I
tell y'all a story. Oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell y'all a story. So basically, it's this person, it's a special person out there, and it was just something that came over me, and it was just like, sometimes, and I'm trying to like, I'm not trying to get like to the point of the situation, but sometimes God doesn't connect you to people for emotional reasons, but it's for a purpose.
Mm,
And sometimes we fail to like, when it comes to love and relationships, we can have chemistry with a lot of different people.
yeah.
We can like a lot of different people, we can flirt with a lot of different people, that like looking from things on an emotional basis is I wouldn't say it's worthless when it comes to love and relationships, but when it comes to love, relationships, and marriage, it's more so for a purpose. So like going back to my story, like it was a certain person, and I was just he has chemistry with this person, that person, like what it is about me, like, you know what? And something Coretta Scott King said, it's Black History Month, so I have to quote my girl. She said, I didn't marry the man, I married his vision.
Mm.
You know, and sometimes that lady was she was on to something, but but honestly, like after that situation, he came out with a whole girlfriend. They
Mm.
broke up, but it was still like I felt that in my spirit, like and not only did my spirit feel that, but it allowed me to understand, like, everybody you have chemistry with is not your person. So it's like I was
Yeah.
able to dissect that situation before it came out, and that's why they're not together right now. So yeah, that's a crazy story, but it's definitely like explains your intuition is very much real. So you really have to like, tap into that and try to dissect situations for what they are.
I actually feel that though. Like it was, and I was actually talking to somebody at a point, and we wanted the relationship to progress because the chemistry was great. Like we felt like, oh, if the chemistry is so great, why not be in a relationship? You know what I'm saying? But you get in a relationship and it don't work out like at all because we were just meant to be platonic, and you could tell that. Like you could have been my best friend, but we kind of messed up, the friendship relationship because we decided to progress it into something more that it wasn't supposed to be. So I do feel that you can have chemistry with anybody. And I
Anybody.
think another problem that we have like in our generation, I know it's hard for me to meet like male guys because even when I try to have platonic friendships, men don't want that from me for some reason. But I try to because like men are like great people and I really want to have at least one male friend. Because the chemistry, like I met a lot of men where I felt like the chemistry was great and I was like, we could just be my best friend or something, and he's like, no, I want to be like your man.
But it don't even have to be all of that, Oh, God.
Like I just want a friend.
That could literally like be a whole nother segment.
Right.
That's something our generation, we don't understand that. And that's why, the marriage rates very low.
Very low.
You click with is your person.
Exactly. Like why I feel like I'm everybody's soulmate. That's what I be feeling like.
Oh my goodness. Listen, there's only one person out there for me. There's only one person out there. And goodness gracious, you have to have discernment because, and I don't know, like this really went on to another topic, but I was raised in the church and I talk to all different types of guys. But for some reason, guys who are in the church, everybody's like, God told me that you're my wife. What? Not all of y'all my husband. Like that is so irritating.
Girl, say that. I don't know what be wrong with this.
Like, oh my goodness.
That is so funny. That is crazy. I don't know. I really wish, but like discernment is a thing. I know as you grow closer to like being a spiritual person, discernment is gonna be your best friend. Like once the closer you like grow to God, I feel like the heavier your discernment becomes. Like you're gonna be able to know like this is not for me and this is for me. Like you just gonna know. So, I like that.
We definitely have to talk about that because I feel like once our generation understand discernment, they can prevent themselves from getting into situations they have no business getting into. Discernment is really it's a key to unlock many doors that's meant for us and not counterfeit doors.
Yeah, those doors, those fake doors. We be trying to draw doors.
Yes.
Draw our own doors. Okay, so anyway, we're gonna move into our Black History fact. Okay, do y'all know the sanitary pad was made by Mary Beatrice Davidson Kenner? So she was born 1912 in Charlotte, North Carolina. So at the age of 18, she invented the sanitary belt, which what the sanitary belt does was basically place like an adhesive. So you can place it in your underwear or whatever. So she invented that when she was 18 years old. Now she came from a family of inventors, but I'm not going to get into those. In 1931, she went to Howard. And in 1957, she filed a patent for it because at first she could not afford to like start the business because, at the time, they felt like we weren't supposed to be living in America for some reason. So they wouldn't let her do anything. She filed the patent for that business 5 times and she was declined every time because she was a Black woman. And at the time it was needed because not Black women, but everybody was still using like rags and cloths just to put down there. Or sometimes I know like if you Google it, they were using like those cotton things that you put on wounds in the war. They didn't want to like go through with her idea because she was Black. But, I felt like this was so beautiful that now they adopted the idea and they didn't even adopt it until 30 years later. We didn't even know who this lady was until somebody just decided that, hey, this is my family member and she made this. Like this was her idea. So I feel like if you guys look into it, Mary Patrice Davidson Kenner, say her name because she gave us the sanitary pad, a much needed pad that every woman needs on this earth.
That's
Wow.
awesome. And I honestly feel bad that I didn't know that a Black woman created sanitary napkins. Like, wow. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
You know,
And
and
you don't know. Like you don't know. Like even when you Google it now, it pops up. But I'm pretty sure if somebody would have Googled it maybe like a few years ago, it wouldn't have never popped up.
right. And that's why Black ownership is so important because you have, Always and Kotex, all these different pad companies. If a Black woman created sanitary napkins, we need Black women to have, some product out in the market. So
Yes.
definitely.
So one of the feminine products that is in the market, I think, is the honey pot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were created by Black women as well. So I literally think that's the only one, though, if I'm being
Right.
honest.
I don't even know that. I love the honey pot. They're so nice. Yeah. I
You
didn't
can
know
find them at Target. Support Black History Month.
Yes.
Black Herstory.
Yes. And you know what? The honey pot actually had backlash on social media at one point because their target was Black women. And people felt like, why are you excluding women? Like excluding all women when, it's a Black woman and she wanted her, business to be out there. It was crazy. It was a lot of social media backlash, but she got through it. She had to be more diverse.
That just goes back to what we were talking about earlier. People can't do nothing. Everybody always gonna have a problem with
Just because we're pro-Black doesn't make us anti-white.
absolutely.
Y'all already want to label us as Black people, brown people. If y'all want to,
Colored people.
separate us, then why can't we separate ourselves?
I don't know. I just feel like they get a kick out of just seeing us frustrated, and they get wonder why we frustrated.
But being that it is a grand weekend, it's a grand month, grand weekend. Don't forget that the Super Bowl will be on this Sunday at 6 o'clock. Matter of fact, at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Are y'all sports fans? Do y'all really get into football?
No.
Okay, so I'll just tell you a briefing because I haven't been watching sports either. But the Super Bowl this year will be against the Kansas State Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think all of you know who Tom Brady is. So
oh yes, we know that fine thing.
Yes, he's with the Buccaneers. So I have my hopes on the Buccaneers. I think they're going to take home the ship. Like Tom Brady is the GOAT. So if I were to bet on any team, it'll probably be Tampa Bay. So what are y'all thoughts? Who would y'all bet on?
I'm betting on anybody where Tom Brady is, wherever he at, I'm there.
Yeah. I heard that the other, forgive me because I just do not know, but I heard that the other quarterback on the team is a Black guy. Is that true? What's his name?
You know what? Next time we're going to bring in a sports commentator. Give us the sports facts. Hey, but listen though, the halftime performance this year is by The Weeknd, so everyone is excited about that. And also Jasmine Sullivan, she will be singing the national anthem. A country artist, so we're going to be getting a little bit of soul, a little bit of country. So how do y'all feel about them mixing it up like that as far as the musical performances?
I love it.
Yeah, I feel like that's very interesting. I wonder why they did that though, to put Jasmine Sullivan, because I feel like her vocals alone could just take everybody.
Exactly.
But why add a country artist in it? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But I'm excited to see it. Maybe he'll be in the background playing the guitar, and they, switch it up for us a bit. Maybe they're trying to show diversity and inclusion. Because the NFL, been getting a lot of slack, from Black Lives Matter, the whole Copenhagen protest. So I don't know how I feel about the NFL though, because don't just have Black people to perform during halftime or to sing the national anthem just so you can exclude yourself, from getting a backlash from the Black community.
Yeah.
I don't know. The NBA did a great job this year with, supporting the movement, but the NFL, they have a lot more work to do. So you
You
can't
know what? Jay-Z actually said that in a song one time. He said, I said no to the Super Bowl. You need me. I don't need you. He said that one time in a song.
But mentioning Super Bowl performances, I don't know if y'all have y'all favorite all-time performance. My mom's favorite is probably Michael Jackson or Prince, but specifically my favorite, I would never forget this moment, y'all. It was February 2013. I was a senior in high school, and Beyonce came and shut it down. Like literally, like all the power went off. Like all the lights shut off. Beyonce killed that performance. There would never be another B. She was absolutely like my favorite all-time performance. Like, oh, just
yeah, it gave me chills too. Beyonce was my favorite. Like everything she do is my favorite.
It's all about B. There'll never be another B.
Especially anybody that's planning on watching the Super Bowl, be careful with the Super Bowl parties. They'll be mindful.
Be very careful.
Yes, be very careful. I missed the Super Bowl parties. When I was younger, my whole life was that. I would know what was going on. I feel like,
they're also expecting over 25,000 fans this year at the Super Bowl. So I think that'll be like a super spreader for COVID, because that's a lot.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. They gonna be there in person. Wow.
Yeah, definitely be careful if you're one of those people.
Definitely, but that wraps up our show for this week, everyone. That wraps it up. Happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. Thank y'all for tuning in, for watching us. If you have any topics, if you want us to talk about anything, just send us a message, comment below. Do y'all have any last statements, shout outs?
Shout out to my friends, shout out to my mama, shout out to my people in Chicago. I'm just playing.
Yes, everybody that's watching. Thank you guys for supporting. And I see y'all comments. Thank you guys.
Everyone for viewing. Yes, we love y'all. And also we are streaming live every Saturday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern. You can find us Facebook Live, and also I believe you can find us on YouTube. So make sure you spread the word about Let's Talk About It. We are a millennial Gen Z talk show, and we talk about everything under the sun. So that's all, folks. That wraps it up. I hope y'all have a fantastic week and enjoy your weekend. Peace.